As I'm sure all of you are aware, over the weekend, the U.S. engaged in a bombing campaign, Operation Midnight Hammer, on Iran, targeting 3 facilities. Notably Fordo, where 6 bunker busters were dropped, and the U.S. says it was substantial damage. Not necessarily obliterated, but effectively obliterated. Israel has maintained airstrikes against Iran military targets, targeting the IRGC and access paths to the Fordo facility. As of right now, there's breaking news. As of the recording of this video, Qatar has shut down its airspace, and the U.S. has warned U.S. citizens in Qatar to shelter in place. There's fear that Iran will begin to mine the Strait of Hormuz to prevent trade, which is 1/5 of the world's oil shipments. And that'll be massive. Russia is now saying other nations are rushing to supply Iran with active nuclear weapons following this attack by the United States. And the U.S. is conceding, at least publicly, they don't know what Iran has done with nearly 400 kilograms of uranium. Now, some speculate this is subterfuge, this is obfuscation on the part of the United States. The whole time this operation has been planned, as much as y'all may disagree or agree, whatever your stance may be on the strike, Trump's operational security was impeccable. The pundit class, the commentators, the news, the experts were all convinced that this was not yet to come. And then sure enough, it did when everyone least expected it. In fact, the U.S. dispatched B-2 bomber decoys over the Pacific, and no one saw this coming. In fact, it's reported that even Vance and Hegseth were opposed to the strike, but Trump was adamant. How this information didn't leak, I don't know, considering as porous as this and the previous administration has been. It actually is impressive OPSEC, despite the fact that many people are torn on this, and it seems like we are escalating towards a dangerous future. Now, there's a lot to break down and questions of whether or not this will actually escalate into World War III. With Russia warning, not only will Iran get the nukes, but there will be World War III from this. Okay, Russia. Russia's been warning of World War III for like 2 years now. So they keep saying, this is it, this will cause World War III. To be fair, okay, maybe this is where things ramp up. There's rumors that Iran is now meeting with Pakistan. Pakistan has publicly condemned Donald Trump after just nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And Russia and China are said to be gearing up to get involved. I'm not entirely convinced, but it does look like the dominoes are starting to fall over. Now, the scenario people are hoping for is that this is much like the strike on Soleimani, and that with the U.S.'s actions in Iran, there is no further escalation. Israel says they're going to end their war with Iran in the next few days. Iran may even just run out of ballistic missiles and choose not to escalate. Some have stated, some experts, giving their opinion that there will not be World War III because people are sane and don't want to die. They just want to be fat and happy. And the retaliation against this strike would only lead to Russia, China, or India, or any other country that may find themselves involved just losing money. And the people in power, they like their infinity pools, man. Do they really want to give up all of that? We are no longer necessarily in the era of ideology. There's only a few holdouts on the global stage. Most of these countries are driven by power, and it's not so much a moral worldview as it is a personal worldview. So it's hard to know exactly what will happen. Before we get started with the news, though, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It is CousinTees.com. You guys know Terrence K. Williams, Cousin Tees, man. Use promo code TIMPOOL at Cousin Tees, and you're going to get 25% off. Let me tell you, my friends, Cousin Tees, he's got the best pancakes. It's wild times. The woke mob came to get rid of pancake syrup and pancake mix. So Terrence Williams said he'll step in, he'll fill that gap. So he started making Cousin Tees pancake and waffle mix with all the different syrups. He's got a ton of great stuff on his website. I'm going to tell you guys, I have Cousin Tees every day. Every day. Well, I didn't have it today, to be fair. I'm trying to be honest. But we actually have a ton of Cousin Tees. I just ordered a bunch more syrups from Cousin Tea. And we've got like 4 or 5 different versions of his pancake mix. He's got some that are gluten-free, some that are protein, some that I do the gluten-free ones. And then he's got some that are dairy-free. So, because I got buttermilk in them. And we use Cousin T's pure maple syrup, not to mention he's got a bunch of other syrups. So let me just shout out Terrence. Not only are you a funny guy and a great commentator, but you make a great pancake. And I'm a big fan. So I appreciate you sponsoring the morning show. Go to CousinTS.com, Cousin T's, and use promo code TimPool. Support the work that he's doing and enjoy some pancakes. Don't forget to also go to Timcast.com and click Join Us to become a member and support our work directly. As a member of the Timcast Discord, you'll be hanging out with tens of thousands of like-minded individuals. They're all sharing ideas. They are building something, and there is a community. They have launched their own podcasts. There's pre-shows, after-shows. It is a network. Maybe you're somebody who wants to get started in the comic book industry. You might find someone in the Discord who says, actually, I used to work there. Let me give you some pointers. Maybe you worked in an industry and you want to be that point of contact for someone younger who's trying to step up. This is what networking is all about. So the more people we get in this network, the more people with various connections. It's not about being the most powerful. It's not about being the wealthiest. It might be as simple as, I work for a construction company. Someone comes in and says, man, I just can't figure out how to get this concrete done in this building I want made, and I don't know where to start. Someone's going to be like, yo, I used to do this. Here's the path. Not only have we seen successes like that, some people have even gotten married. No joke. The point is, community is how the founding fathers built a nation. They were meeting in bars and pubs, and they were sharing these ideas. So we want to bring that community to you. Go to timcast.com, click join us. And also shout out to Steven Crowder and the Mug Club. You guys rock. Really do appreciate Steven Crowder. Funniest show on the internet. Biggest live stream in the country. And it is an honor and a privilege for the raid Steven Crowder sends my way. Welcome to the Rumble Morning lineup. Of course, I am entering the afternoon for all of you. I am your host, Tim Pool. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Smash that like button. Share the show right now on all your social media platforms. Turn up the knob and rip it off. Let's read the news here. From the New York Times. Officials concede they don't know the fate of Iran's uranium stockpile. Both Vice President J.D. Vance and Rafael Grossi, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, acknowledged questions about the whereabouts of Iran's stockpile of near bomb-grade nuclear material. We have this story from The Telegraph. Fears over Iran's missing 400 kilograms of uranium. Now, many people are pointing out, hey, wait a minute. We got a picture of all these trucks, right? Which truck carried the uranium? Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Was it all of them? Some have stated, well, can't we track where these trucks go? Indeed. It's a good assessment. The issue is there's multiple trucks. You don't know what they're being loaded with, and they could be decoys. They're not there on the ground. Just because a truck is there does not mean that truck is carrying the uranium. So there could potentially be, let's just do some quick math here. How many trucks we got? We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 trucks. Maybe. It's kind of hard, a little grainy, but it looks like about 16. You don't know which ones have trucks. These trucks could go to facilities, and 16 more trucks could come out of each of those facilities, and those trucks get spread around. What happens? Sure, the U.S. can say, we've tracked all the trucks, but now we're dealing with 16 by 16, and then how many more? How many more locations are they not going to be able to track? Therein lies the big challenge. They say Iran claims to have smuggled almost all of the country's highly enriched uranium to a secret location before the U.S. launched strikes on its nuclear bases. 3 of Tehran's most critical enrichment facilities, including its underground facility at Fordo, were pummeled by B-2 stealth bombers and a barrage of submarine-launched missiles early on Sunday. Submarine-launched missiles. That's crazy. That's crazy. Those are long-range missiles. Very, very nuts. Now, the one thing I do want to say, I am not for this. I know it's a rock and a hard place, and it's easy to sit in my air-conditioned building in the middle of West Virginia with no stake in the game. Well, minimal, to be honest. It's easy to just be like, why are we doing this? Without really knowing. But my point is, I do not feel that the U.S. has justified these strikes to the American people, the threat, the risk, etc. I don't think they did a good job. That being said, to those pilots and the crew on this mission, it's amazing. 37-hour round-trip flight in these bombers with nothing but a small chemical toilet. probably eating some MREs. Very impressive strike. As much as I don't like the U.S. involvement, the U.S. military is, the Air Force and all those involved, terrifyingly effective and impressive. They're going to say officials believe that most of the material at Fordo and Iran's other facilities had been moved elsewhere. Iran has vowed to continue enriching uranium in defiance of Trump raising further concerns over its nuclear program. We have this breaking news. Qatar has shut down its airspace temporarily to ensure the safety of visitors and residents, the Qatari foreign minister says. And we have, this is not the one I was looking for. Here we go. We have this from Fox News. Americans in Qatar told to shelter in place as Iranian military threatens action against U.S. interests. It's the escalation that we are deeply concerned about. Now, the U.S. engaged in these strikes, and they may have shut down Iran's ability to enrich the uranium. But if they already have 400 kilograms, then nothing's been averted. Especially considering the other report, Russia is claiming, a former Russian president, I believe it is, said that production of nuclear weapons in Iran will continue, and other countries, multiple nations, are stepping in to provide Iran with nukes. I don't believe this has actually solved any of the problem. Now, again, for those that watch the morning segment, there is a chain of events people are fearing right now. Iran is threatening to shutter the Strait of Hormuz. 1/5 of oil trade moves through this strait into the Persian Gulf. They may place mines, sea mines, so that ships will explode. Tankers are already turning around, refusing to enter. They don't want to get trapped in the Persian Gulf if Iran does make this move. That's a massive asset to lose access to. The U.S. is reportedly keeping an eye on this with Donald Trump saying, do not retaliate. Now, the fear, of course, is that the U.S. will move in and engage the Strait of Hormuz to try and keep it open, resulting in Iran striking U.S. assets and personnel, and then the U.S. seeking to secure the ground operations in Iran with boots on the ground. Now, maybe they don't go that far. Trump may be unable to make such a move. That's a massive play that I'm not sure the U.S. has the capability of handling right now, especially with the war in Ukraine. Iran may be counting on that, so this may just be a game of chicken. And let me just say to all of you, you will not win a game of chicken with Donald Trump. Iran may be thinking Trump wouldn't be so bold as to send U.S. personnel into the country. That gives them the opportunity to strike at the Strait of Hormuz and actually disrupt global trade. They can certainly launch missiles and rockets at U.S. targets in the Middle East. But the Strait of Hormuz is their strongest play right now as it puts pressure on several other nations. Now, if it were anyone other than Donald Trump, if it was Joe Biden, Iran, I think, might do it. But I think Iran may be aware that you cannot win a game of chicken with Donald Trump. It's just not going to happen. Trump is not going to let them shutter the Strait of Hormuz. But if Iran is so bold, I think we could actually see boots on the ground. Maybe not immediately. This is not the same thing as Iraq and Afghanistan. The issue with Iraq and Afghanistan was that with Afghanistan, we were trying to set up military bases, regime change, and nation building because the Taliban was a wild group of people. Iraq, they wanted to get rid of Saddam Hussein personally, which meant you needed people to do it. With Iran, Trump has now floated regime change, but not from U.S. forces. He's basically saying the people of Iran should do it and we shouldn't be involved. Fox News reports the U.S. Embassy in Qatar told Americans to shelter in place until further notice Monday morning. The embassy said it made the recommendation out of abundance of caution, but provided no other details. Qatar is home to the Al Udeid, probably pronouncing it wrong, air base, where approximately 10,000 U.S. soldiers are deployed. The advisory came after the State Department issued a warning to American citizens on Sunday. Quote, there is the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad. The Department of State advises U.S. citizens worldwide to exercise increased caution. Now, Pakistan may be getting involved. There are rumors that Iran has met with Pakistan. Pakistan, according to Euronews reports, Pakistan condemns Trump's bombing of Iran after backing him for Nobel Peace Prize. Just these headlines. That's basically the story. Islamabad on Sunday criticized Washington for attacking Iran, saying that the strikes constituted a serious violation of international law and the statute of the International Atomic Energy Agency. quote, the unprecedented escalation of tension and violence owing to ongoing aggression against Iran is deeply disturbing. Any further escalation of tensions will have severely damaging implications for the region and beyond, Pakistan's foreign ministry said. And of course, as I mentioned, Russia is warning multiple nations will now provide nuclear weapons to Iran. Now, I'll tell you why I'm pissed. I am both simultaneously impressed and pissed off. The operational security of the Trump administration was perfect. They had everybody convinced. We were all convinced. Even Tucker Carlson said Trump was negotiating in good faith. And now we know that the whole time they had been preparing B-2 bombers to drop bunker busters on Fordo, as well as Nanance and Isfara. They did not plan this overnight. So we were all told, we were all convinced. But it seems like the negotiations had ended a while ago. Trump did give him 60 days, and when it didn't pull through, seems like Trump made that decision. You know, I'm split on this one. Let me just say this. I am largely against the U.S. intervention in the region, despite fully understanding the real risk with Iranian-enriched uranium is not a nuclear missile launching in the air and landing on Israel. That is a risk. I think it's very low. I am not at all concerned about that. I think there's means of stopping these nukes in midair. You've got interceptors, getting an ICBM through the air. In fact, this would be a mid-range nuclear warhead. Not likely. But fissile material falling into the hands of, say, Houthi rebels who can then cause serious damage. That, I think, is a reality. And now here's why, again, I've been opposed to this intervention. Right now, they're reporting they don't know where that fissile material is, 400 kilograms. It may now find its way into the hands of these crackpot groups. There's reports now that the Ayatollah may be removed. That could be good or bad. Perhaps it's a good thing. They say the risk here is that fissile material will spread out to random insurgent and extremist groups, and there's no unifying authority to negotiate with. Right now, you have the Ayatollah, and you can say, do what we want, and you will get something in return. These negotiations failed. A strike now means the Ayatollah may say, have fun. We're not going down. If they try to remove him, he may take it personally and just say, burn it all. These rebel groups, there's no one to negotiate with. You go one by one, that's going to be very difficult. Now, many people are asking the question, why Iran was so adamant about its nukes. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned with the credibility of this White House and Donald Trump's insistence on claiming there were negotiations underway while planning this bombing campaign, understand, as much as you may like or not like this attack, the word of Donald Trump and the U.S. government is mud at this point. Now, I think Donald Trump can speak to the American people on domestic issues, and we can largely trust he will do what he means to do. And he largely follows. He says what he's going to do. He just says it. He shows the executive order he's signing. We get that. But in terms of foreign negotiations, there is no incentive at any point now for foreign governments to trust what is being said to you by the U.S., except for trust that the U.S. will bomb the crap out of you. And I think that's why Trump did it. That is to say, I am not saying this to impugn the honor or integrity of Donald Trump. I trust him. I voted for him. This is not what I want to see happen, but I'm not going to scream for impeachment or anything crazy. I'm going to say, just get the job done, do it right, do it best. Let's de-escalate. We don't want this to get worse. And it may be too late. But Donald Trump, I believe, took this action because he will not be seen internationally as a man afraid to act. When he says we negotiate and you say no, he says, okay, we'll negotiate. And then he bombs you intentionally. Many people have said, no one's going to believe the U.S. now in any of these negotiations. I think Trump did that on purpose. He wants them to feel that even in their best case scenario, the bombs are only hours away. Now, there's risk there. Again, these threats may make people think twice. Spineless leaders don't want war. And if they think it ain't coming, they'll do whatever they want. Trump, he'll tell you he'll negotiate and then he'll bomb you anyway. So back off. When Trump says don't, you don't. The disarmament of Libya. In 2003, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi agreed to eliminate his country's weapons of mass destruction program, including a decades-old nuclear weapons program. Mohammed El Baradei, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, said Libya's nuclear program was in the very initial stages of development at the time. As of 2013, over 800 tons of chemical weapon ingredients remain to be destroyed. This is why Iran said why they intended to make the moves they did. Because Libya said they would give up nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction. And then NATO launched air raids over there, a no-fly zone and air raids. The country then collapsed with the assistance of NATO, and Gaddafi was dragged through the street and killed, and Hillary Clinton bragged about it, stating, "We came, we saw, he died." What do you think Iran said when their National Security Council convened after the fall of Libya? I guarantee you, this is not my speculation, this is the speculation of experts in the region. They said, Iran came together and said, there is no deal to be had. If you agree to give up your weapons, the U.S. will murder you. So Iran's intent was never to stop that program. Donald Trump is not Obama, and Donald Trump is not Bill Clinton. Donald Trump is not George W. Bush. So when Trump said, do it or else, we won't let you do it, Iran likely said, we've seen what the U.S. does, even when you give up their weapons, so they refused. So Trump said, then you get the bunker busters. Now, Russia is also warning of World War III. World War III is near after Putin, now Russian foreign minister, warns about complete global chaos. Okay, well, to be honest, if Russia didn't warn of World War III at least once a week, I'd be worried. I'd say, hey, what's going on, guys? You're off schedule. So their word doesn't mean all that much when they keep saying this, but there is a fear of World War III indeed, because the escalation is entirely likely, and it seems to be already happening. Iran is still firing missiles at Israel. Israel is still launching attacks on Iran. The war has not stopped. The question is, will anyone come to the assistance of Iran? I find it hard to believe. Not directly, not immediately. From NBC News, J.D. Vance says, the U.S. is, quote, not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. Come on, dude. Spare me, okay? By all means, I understand that J.D. Vance was opposed to the strike. He ain't playing any stupid games, okay? Maybe there's a legal issue here, but let me just tell you. You drop bunker busters on a foreign country, launch missiles from submarines as Tomahawk missiles, and I got to tell you, you're at war. Iran has a say in this. The enemy has a say. And Iran says they're at war with the United States, and the U.S. will regret it. They've threatened to kill, on their state media at least, 50,000 U.S. troops, send them home in coffins. That's more than there are troops in the region, but, okay. What's the implication? Intervention? I do think it's a bit silly to claim we're not at war with Iran. Trump floats Iran regime change, even as the true impact of U.S. strikes is far from clear. They say, flush with the spoils of battle, he already seems to be toying with the idea of regime change. But the reality of whether Trump truly destroyed Iran's nuclear ambitions and the consequence of his aggression are far more ambiguous. Round-the-world raids by B-2 stealth bombers out of Missouri using never-before-deployed bunker-busting bombs demonstrated the unique reach of the U.S. military and its continued potency despite Trump administration chaos at the Pentagon. Blah, blah, blah. Now, Donald Trump floated regime change, but he didn't directly call for it. And I think that's why CNN isn't telling you what he actually said. Let me pull up the actual post from Trump. He says, it's not politically correct to say regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. Make Iran great again. Perhaps. From the Daily Mail. Iranian officials plan to remove Ayatollah as supreme leader as cowering Khamenei begs Putin for help and cuts off contact with him from within his secret bunker due to fears he will be assassinated. It's fog of war, propaganda, manipulation, all these things are true. Do the Iranian people support the Ayatollah or not? Well, we don't know. We only know the intel that we get, what the reporters say, and it may or may not be true. You choose who to trust. We had a debate on Friday over whether we should intervene. A day later, we intervened. I was told by the pro-intervention debate individual, the people of Iran are cheering the Israeli strikes on their nation. There are people who have actually claimed that. There has been an attempt at a talking point that people in Iran are celebrating Israel's bombing of their nation. They support Israel. I'm sorry, but that's an absurdity. But of course, that's fog of war. That's propaganda. We will be greeted as liberators, they said when we invaded Iraq. No, we won't. What country wants to be bombed by a foreign nation? Police stations, military assets. You may not like your government, but I don't want my soldiers getting blown up. We see this all the time. During the Bush administration, even me, many people were like, we don't like the war, we don't like Bush, but we support the troops. The troops aren't the ones that voted for this. Many of them were, don't get me wrong. But they're following orders, and they're engaging in what we viewed as, what I would say, we were misled into that war. But it wasn't like the soldiers were staging genocide or anything like that. There were certainly bad things that had happened, and many people went to jail and, not the people who lied to us, but anyway. What we are being told now is that we are to be greeted as liberators as we bomb Iran. No. We supported our troops, okay? I assure you, the people of Iran do not like that their roads are being bombed, that foreign nations can just launch strikes on their country on a whim, that their military is being attacked. You can change the regime. You can change the government. Now, there may be a plan. This may be true. I don't know. But it makes sense. The Ayatollah may be hard-headed, saying we're not backing down. And the political interest of the nation may say, we just want food and shelter. We don't want war. So they'd rather see a negotiated surrender than death. The question is, what does the Ayatollah think is going to happen? Will he survive this if he surrenders? Probably not. If he says, we give up, then from within, he's done. And if he doesn't, that's the political turmoil. He may be facing his end no matter what. And the speculation is as such. But now there are fears that Iran will retaliate. Qatar has closed its airspace. The Pentagon has warned of potential cyber attacks. They're warning Americans to get ready for phishing attacks and other attempts to break into industrial control systems. Shut down the grid. The threat is real. Iran can attack in ways that we won't even know it's them if they use cyber war and proxies. So I warn you all, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And we hope this doesn't escalate. There's a lot more to break down politically, but we're going to go to our interview. We have Thomas Massie on the line who will be talking to us about his view on things. Trump just came out, a massive post slamming Massie. So we'll be talking with him. That'll be up at 4 p.m. at rumble.com/TimPool, as well as youtube.com/Timcast. Don't miss it. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know, and stay tuned. More to come, and we'll see you all then.